carrying the torch, so to speak, that you guys started?
I think. Well, let's say he's carrying partially the torch.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are many others who probably carry it too.
Mm.
But yeah, I think he's carved out his own niche in a sense of acceptance in music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he has his own following.
There's a question here about, I guess, the sales sort of tapered off for a little while for the band, Earth, Wind, and Fire. About when did that start? There was sort of a commercial, a slight commercial decline.
Yeah, well, actually, after we went separate ways in a sense of broke off for a while, and we went on a hiatus. I think that was in '82.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, coming back on the scene, our first album, which was "Touch the World,"
mm-hmm.
after 4 years,
mm-hmm.
I think we did about $1.2 million on that.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't the type of sales we were accustomed to. We were accustomed to like 2 and 3 million.
Right.
But there's an opportunity to get it back to the world where it used to be. It's just a matter of circulation and getting the right exposure with the material that we do. Because we have people, I'm sure, that they know we aren't just a joke.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Touch the World is sort of a bone of contention among Earth, Wind, and Fire fans. I personally tend to like it, but I catch a lot of flack from the older fans who see it as too much of a departure from your original sound.
Yeah, well, that was during the time when we were pretty much getting it back together, and I think in a sense of it wasn't the same sound as previous,
Mm-hmm.
But I think this particular album is back to the original sound a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't something that was purposely intended. It's just something that happened.
Yeah, but like Touch the World and Heritage were more like albums of their time, though. They're unmistakably, sort of late '80s albums.
Right.
Looking back in retrospect, do you think they were the right thing to do at the time, or how do you evaluate those two albums in retrospect?
Well, I like the contribution that those albums made. I think those albums allowed us the opportunity to make this one. In a sense of we learned a lot. That's what life is about. It's about experiencing and learning.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a chance to experience. See, the '80s pretty much was a time for recognizing new technology.
Mm-hmm.
All kind of new technology came on the scene in the '80s. And it's like everybody was getting particularly familiar with all the new technology, learn how to use it, and
Mm-hmm.
so were we.
Yeah.
And so I think it might have caught us in a time of growing up in the world, in the new world of technology.
Mm. Do you think musicians can get lost in the technology easily? Does it kind of confuse you?
I think at some guys, it all depends on how emotional you are. If you are an emotional musician and you want to make sure that you can communicate your music to the people, I think you have to think about it from a different aspect.
Mm-hmm. How about getting back to this question here on my list of questions? The sales declined just a little bit, but do you think can you just attribute that to the hiatus alone, the fact that you were out of the public eye and maybe the public was a little bit disoriented, not necessarily?
Yeah, well, there's also a change of the guards, that happens. People, what happens is that people who were buying records, people who were in the promoting stage, in a sense of the record company that we were with at the time, there was a change of guards there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the people that had been accustomed to promoting Earth, Wind, and Fire were no longer there.
Yeah.
And so the new people that came and didn't really know too much about the band was not that familiar and really didn't care, so we didn't get the proper promotion, not at all. Not like what we had been accustomed to receiving.
Uh-huh.
So if it's not exposed, if you get no exposure, then of course there's no sales.
Yeah. Exactly. You're automatically relegated to the B list.
Right.
The fellow that made the questions here also mentioned something about maybe he's of the opinion that hip hop styles carelessly added to the music, or the use of Caucasian producers is not maybe the best idea in the world for your band there. Looking back in retrospect, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think he's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to like Caucasian producers trying to produce a band like Earth, Wind and Fire, that's really strange, because what happens is the people, this music is music of experienced musicians, and it has to be done with people who have that type of experience themselves,
mm-hmm.
in order to contribute that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Our band is not just a drum machine, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
We're like live musicians that play, and all of us play well, you know. So it's a different thing, and I think in order to recognize, not to say that a white producer could not lend itself towards working with us, you know, because we've worked with many white musicians. I mean, some of the guys that's playing on this album are white, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense of the dedication, I mean, I think it's all the same. But in the meantime, you do need an experienced mind, somebody who have experienced the streets and experienced different associations with certain things. In other words, have experienced racism and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In order to like really say what we're trying to say.
How about this other idea about sort of trying to tack on hip hop styles? Is that a mistake as well?
That's a mistake too. Yeah, trying to totally focus on a hip hop style, because Earth, Wind and Fire is more diverse than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it can play hip hop, it can play anything. Hip hop basically is an old jazz beat.
That's the way you see it, huh?
Yeah, that's what it is. An old jazz beat has just been brought back alive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's not anything that radically different.
No.
But it seems like those
But
elements...
you'd have to have experience. I mean, you have to go all the way back to the 60s to be able to check that out.
Uh-huh.
If you're a kid who was born in the 80s and you got a chance to do some music in the 90s, you think that, you think everything is brand new.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to look at music from when music came, you go back to the 60s, you'll find hip-hop beats. 72, you did.
What would you suggest as a good starter course for those who are looking for hip-hop beats in the 60s?
Go back and listen to some old jazz records. You'll find it.
Uh-huh. Okay. The nature of your music, according to the author of our questions here, is it's very invigorating, kind of encouraging, positive message.
Yeah.
How about yourself? How do you pump yourself up though? You're the type of guy that pumps other people up. When you're in need of a good shot of energy, what do you turn to?
I meditate.
I
meditate. Through meditation, it has allowed me to connect with my higher source, and that gives me energy.
What kind of meditation is it? Is it secular meditation, or is it just something?
Well, it's not any kind. It's not any type of religious overtones here. It's primarily my own creation. You know what I mean?
So it's just
my way of tapping into the higher source.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been doing that?
About 20 years.
Uh-huh. So you have it, you're still working on it, or do you have it perfected?
I have it down.
Uh-huh.
I have it down. I have it down by now.
Just out of curiosity, how long do you meditate, say, at one time?
Approximately 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
At a sitting. Sometimes it passes into like a half hour.
Uh-huh. And you do it in complete silence?
Yeah.
And when you finish, you're just a new man, refreshed.
Pretty much so, yeah. Not it doesn't work every time.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, it does.
That's amazing. How did you pick up on that?
Well, I actually started out in transcendental meditation many years ago,
Uh-huh.
and then I just transformed it into my own thing.
Uh-huh. Is that a personal thing? Do you think it's that maybe creative people, musicians, are more inclined to do that kind of thing?
I think so, because you find musicians, in order to be a great musician, you got to have discipline.
Mm-hmm.
In order to play an instrument, you got to have discipline. But there's so many variables that surround you that are created to help you not achieve. You know what I mean? So I think it's easier possibly for musicians to lock into things like that.
But then again, at the same time, a lot of the greatest musicians have sort of lacked the discipline to keep their stuff together and have let drugs take over their lives or whatever.